Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Have we got a show for you? Let me introduce our cast. The host with the most, from Punta Gorda, Florida, Mo Diggs. All the way from Chi-Town, Jello. Coming in hot. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Have we got a show for you? Let me introduce our cast. The host with the most, from Punta Gorda, Florida, Mo Diggs. All the way from Chi-Town, Jello. Coming in hot from LA, Florida. After Harley, we have some special guests tonight. Some very special guests. So I need you right now to start typing your favorite emoji. Spam that chat with your favorite emoji right now. Spam it and spam it. I want to see it get crazy. Let's get ready to get over the top.
I feel like a lightning bolt hit the tip of my penis.
All right. That was a pretty good intro, man. A pretty good intro. Props to our director, Mark Morales, man.
Nice.
How much work did you put into that, man? Was that all day?
Pretty much all day.
Bro, that was an all day, all nighter, man. Are you kidding me? Put
All
a
day,
lot of
all
work
night.
in that shit, bro. That was very nice, very nice. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Now, I know y'all probably don't recognize me because I was so much younger in the picture. It was like 4 years ago. I didn't have my ponytail. But it was still a very nice picture. And Angelo definitely doesn't look that, young anymore either. Man's
Hell
putting on
no.
some work. But Brian looked good. Pixel Me Clear looked so lovely. Very nice.
I
And
was trying
we
to
got
get full
AT
headshot,
Roll.
so.
AT Roll has joined the podcast, guys. He is in on this. He's usually the man commenting, trying to trigger the purge out of me.
Oh, he's one of the best hecklers by far.
By far.
By far.
AT Roll, say what's up to the Hawks. All right. Thank you for that.
All right.
Pixel Me Cleary's on. Say hi, Pixel Me Cleary.
Hello, everyone.
Very good. Very good. As you know, we have After Harley here. We have Jello. I have to do it, even though he's still on mute. Tony Blu-ray's here with us too. His picture is not going to come up until he unmutes his phone. Hopefully he catches the idea, or maybe he went to go use the restroom. God only knows.
I was about to say he's probably half logged in.
Oh, he's gone now.
I'm not even sure if he knows what's entirely going on because he started talking midway and then he realized that the intro is still on.
So he like got out in a panic, probably.
Xena
Very
says,
good,
"Hey
very
y'all."
good. What's up, Xenia? Xenia was one of our big commenters last week on the show. Thank you so much for coming back again, Xenia. We loved having you. So, we like to start this podcast off with a little question. So, the question for tonight is comic book movies. Cinema or CinaMeh? So, props on the question, Mark, because Mark came up with that all on his own. No feedback whatsoever. I like it. Cinema or CinaMeh? So as Xenia so
I think they're
eloquently,
neither.
ain't nobody
I
asked
know
you.
I know they're neither. First off,
Ain't nobody asked you.
I
So
don't give a fuck.
so anyhow, last week we had this discussion, and unfortunately we had some unfortunate things happen on the stream. We feel like we didn't give the subject any justice. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this explanation about it again. If you've already heard me say this, I apologize. Just be quiet. I'll be done when I'm done talking. So a few months ago, I had read something about Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, and Francis Coppola, and they made a very off-the-wall comment, in my opinion. They said that Marvel movies and comic book movies in general were ruining cinema. Like, that's the words they used. Now, Brian so eloquently pointed out last week that it wasn't just those three directors, that there were many people who said the same thing, from directors to actors to actresses, and so on and so forth. So I forced him to name a couple. Jodie Foster was one of them, Academy Award-winning actress. Drew Barrymore another, and I'm sorry, and my wife knows this. If Drew Barrymore gave me a chance, I would be there. So she is just so cool, so beautiful. I'm really upset that she said this. Drew Barrymore, you are off the bucket list. You are no longer on the list. We're done. I thought any woman who could make it work with Tom Green was my kind of woman. You are no longer my kind of woman. So that's the two that he mentioned. I think he mentioned a couple more, but I can't remember.
Yeah, there was like Ridley Scott and a couple other people.
Ridley Scott, James Cameron's wife. You mentioned her. We don't call her by her name. We just call her James Cameron. I don't know why.
That's how everyone knows her.
I mean, it sucks. That's so sad that you're known by being married to your husband in this day and age too. So, what's going on, Mamesy Creates? Thank you for joining us. So, I had mentioned it a couple months on the show when I read about it. I mentioned it on the show. Now, 2 weeks ago, we were talking some Joker, Batman, the consistencies between the Joker characters, and Pixel Me Cleary, who is one of our Hawk fans, commented on the show, and that she said she just watched the movie The Lighthouse. So this is an interactive podcast. I want to know about The Lighthouse. I want to know, what's it about? I've never heard of it. So I asked her about it. And the first attempt to describe this movie, she called it real cinema. So when you said that, most people will be like, oh, she's talking about a real movie or real this. No, what I took it was, you are insinuating what I was talking about was not real cinema. That's how I took it. So in the middle of the week, all of us who are regulars on the show will call each other. We'll have a little group talk about whatever we're going to talk on the show, so that way we can kind of get our ducks in a row. And I mentioned how you said that, and then it sparked this argument that we were having this chat for like an hour and a half on a work night, no less.
Mo was
late
heated.
as shit.
He was super heated.
I was like, me and Brian were just going at it because I couldn't believe that he's on your side of the argument. So I had to end the argument. I was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're saving it for Saturday. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this on Saturday. This guy, we have a video messaging app that we communicate with. He would send me pictures of all the notes and points he was making. I was like, fuck you. I'm going to destroy you. No. So, don't tell anybody, but I'm a gentleman. So I'm going to allow our very special guest, Pixel Me Cleary, comic book movies. Are they cinema? Are they ruining cinema? What is your view on it?
All right. So thank you for letting me come on the show. I think that was really awesome of you. And like, I love how interactive it is when you guys are normally chatting and doing the stream and the cast. But I always found myself kind of in the middle of the road when it comes to saying whether superhero movies are, and I call it something different. When I say like real cinema, I'm calling it cinema. And like that's just how that's how my brain does it.
Can you please elaborate what cinema is?
It's basically the same thing. It's like it's cinema that like transcends all other movies. So it's like the best of the best. It's something that does more for the category and for movies as a whole, and for film and everything of the sort. Just it nails it on all the levels, whether it's cinematography or whether it's acting or whether it's like lighting and effects, but most importantly the story. If the story is not there, you not only do you not have it be cinema or like real cinema, but you don't have a movie. It's just yeah, no, it's bad. So
it's bad.
It's bad.
Wait, what do you mean? Bad. What do you mean it's bad? Like listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know, Spawn is real cinema. Sorry, Angelo.
No, I hope not.
I know it's in your top 5 of favorite movies. But like Spawn is like a guilty pleasure movie. You know what I mean? It's because exactly, you appreciate the characters,
right?
You know, and things like that, and you want to watch it. I want to see a reboot of Spawn. I think if they do a reboot and they keep like what Marvel's doing with comic book movies, I think like Spawn can come a little further. Now, like it's one of the reasons why I won't give Swamp Thing the show a chance. I think for number one, Swamp Thing the character sucks. This is something that grew on a swamp. I mean, you might as well call him the Blob. You know, like he's just a piece of swamp. I live in Florida. I have swamp things everywhere. So I'm not interested in watching it because DC sucks at making comic book movies. I think they try really, really hard, and it just doesn't work. They don't allow the movie to grow. Now, my argument.
Kind of a blanket statement. That's kind of a blanket statement.
I mean, they just don't like that. Like if you watch Batman versus Superman, it's like they took 10 little movies and put them together.
Oh yeah, when you're pulling out something like Batman versus Superman,
you know, like there's no growth. There's no chance to watch the characters grow, to fall in love with them. There's none of it. They're rushing everything.
But see, the thing is, Swamp Thing, like the example you're giving, Swamp Thing, like the movie sucked. Yeah, that's fine. This is back in the 80s.
Terrible.
You're not willing to give the series a shot, which we all know by far DC makes the best short series, like, or season TV / cartoons.
I'm sorry, I guess you never watched Daredevil.
I didn't particularly like it. I don't like the Marvel shows.
Oh,
like I don't like the Marvel
hell.
seasons.
Get out of here. all right. Hold on, B. We're gonna get further into. I just wanted to comment on what she was saying. So your point is that it just doesn't do enough for the industry. What do you mean it doesn't do enough?
Not for the industry. The industry can go screw itself. Like the industry as a whole, it's just when I think about the industry, I think about Hollywood and all that Hollywood is, and it's kind of like all up its own ass. But like when I'm thinking of real cinema, I am thinking of movies that make the absolute, like they make almost everyone's top 10. They go above and beyond, and they do something really, really amazing. And like, okay, if you think of like Wes Anderson, and you think of
Tony, you're still muted. Sorry.
Oh,
okay. No, go ahead. I love Wes Anderson. Go ahead.
Wes Anderson is amazing, and and now like one of his movies are now being put into into oh my god, I just forgot. But like it's being put into basically the Criterion Collection.
Oh, the Grand Budapest Hotel. I have all of his
Yes.
movies.
Yes, exactly. So like the Grand Budapest Hotel is
Hi, Mom.
real
Thanks
cinema.
for watching. Sorry, my mom got on the stream.
It's totally not even fair because I love Wes Anderson. He's actually, and Mo knows he's my favorite, one of my favorite directors.
Mate,
he's amazing.
He is.
But I feel that he's in a different category than what these comic book movies are in. This is more of an action fantasy, But what I like about Marvel movies is that not only are you getting this superhero action and crazy shit going on, you also get a human side of these stories. You also get like what these characters are going through in their life, like a Peter Parker or Tony Stark.
If I may, maybe it's just that I feel like maybe you're not using like the right word. Because like every example that you're giving, I can make the same argument for Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I can make the same argument for it. Maybe because I actually had this conversation with another person that doesn't watch the show. He doesn't come on the show, but he's a huge media person. And I don't know why I'm going to bring up his fucking opinion here because obviously he wasn't on my side of the argument. And this is a guy that would choose to watch Italian horror movies all day long, which is just the most terrible kinds of movies to watch that just have no story and it's bad. But
there's a couple of good ones out there.
He said this to me. He told me, I'm not going to say that what Marvel did the last 10 years, 11 years wasn't amazing. I'm not going to say that. But is it going to matter in 20 years?
Yeah.
Are they timeless? Now, are they timeless
that's cinema.
movies?
That's cinema. Like if
cinema
real
is
cinema
timeless.
Is timeless. It is.
See, and my argument and my thing, like my argument, I feel like, going into that, there's only a handful of the Marvel movies that fit the timeless category, predominantly Infinity War and Endgame.
Okay, this is the thing. Okay, I want to.
Oh, geez.
I want to tell you guys this. This is the difference. We're not talking about one comic book movie. We're talking about 11 years project that created all these movies, all these shows that are all intertwined into the same universe. Now, have anybody done this before? Not on this scale. They're making history by what they're doing. The only reason Infinity War and Endgame work is because of the other 28 movies. If you just gave us Endgame and you just gave us Infinity War, it wouldn't have mattered as much. Nobody would have cried when Iron Man died or when Black Widow sacrificed herself.
Nobody cried.
None of it would have happened.
I still didn't cry when she died.
Series
I really
created death. Like, if anything, that
she died.
You're gonna tell me
thing ever.
That you didn't tear up when Peter Parker was freaking out that he was turning to dust? I'm sorry, Mr. Stark. I don't want to go.
No.
You didn't get sad. Then you're heartless. You're a heartless drone.
Oh, hell no.
Isn't as deep as Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and all that.
Hang on. I think that I think that you're making a really good point, but you might be using not the right movies to do it.
The right movies.
So like when I say the right movies, I mean like movies
Don't say Lord of the Rings.
I'm not saying Lord of the Rings.
I love Lord of the Rings.
That's great.
Motherfuckers walking in circles.
So like
we
keep talking
the
about
the first time.
we keep talking about Marvel movies, and I get that because they have done a lot for superhero movies, but they've also done some really shitty things too. So we can't just say it's just
Like
Like
80%
Or
of
the
the
Dark
DC
World?
like
films.
what?
Like Thor: The
Well,
Dark
like
What did they do that
Thor.
was
Are you talking
shitty?
about Iron Man 2?
Thor
Thor.
1, 2, Iron Man 2.
But Thor
Okay.
Ragnarok was amazing.
Hang on.
Thor
You know
Ragnarok
That's
was
not. We're not
amazing,
talking about Thor Ragnarok. We're talking about
Let her
Thor
finish
1
her
and
statement.
2.
You don't
back
have
off the
Thor
Marvel.
Ragnarok without Thor 1 or 2.
Just totally
Hold
trying
on,
to branch out. We
You
go
could summarize Thor 1 and 2 in like a short animated movie that would take
I
10
get
minutes.
it.
Now this
I
is
get it.
okay.
I get
So
it.
okay, hold on a
actually,
second. Hold on a second. You guys are
she
all
is right on that.
laughing and
She is
carrying
right on
on.
that.
No, you guys are all laughing and carrying on. And you know what?
What the
Fix,
fuck?
let me clear it. You are absolutely right. Thor 1 and 2 suck ass because they went the Viking perspective and made it super serious and whatever whatnot.
Yeah.
But what's the
Yeah.
best Thor
Yeah.
movie?
Right,
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So this is a project that can admit that they're making mistakes and move on from it.
I don't think it was a mistake though, because I think it was
You were
a transition.
A transit. No,
I don't disagree with that because now he's
I
interacting
believe
with
he's
the humans.
proving. Yeah, and not only that, but the Guardian of the Galaxy is
So
getting
it's
involved,
kinda-
and they're
it's
more
kinda the growth-
wild, and
The growth of the characters. Yeah, I can see that.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's more depth to those characters than there was Tom
Yeah.
Holland.
No, but Spider-Man wasn't too bad.
But the point was you didn't cry because of Spider-Man, and I agree. You know, like there wasn't he
didn't
wasn't
cry.
as depth of a credit as a character.
Okay, let's take
I didn't-
crying out of it. You didn't feel sad at all?
Well, yeah, obviously
Then
Spider-Man.
shut up.
favorite
All because you
Avenger,
didn't cry doesn't
but
mean it
what I'm
wasn't
saying is-
sad.
I wasn't.
My thing
sad
is
at-
like,
Infinity War did nothing for me emotionally.
yeah,
But joy.
Third
but as
time's
far-
a charm, Namesy. That was hilarious.
No, but Endgame did tug on my heartstrings. Endgame 100%, but not Infinity War. Infinity War, I already knew that there was going to be something else. There's another chapter. It's not the end of these characters, so that's why I wasn't.
Yes, Senior. It had to do with the growth of the characters. Absolutely. I agree with you.
my thing is, I don't know. At least for me, I don't know. Like the emotional investment in characters for comic book movies just isn't there.
Wait,
Maybe
for
it's
which comic
because
book characters?
they keep putting out movies so constantly before we had to wait so long. There would be like 2 years before the sequel came. Now they're pumping it out like 9-10 months later.
But that's what I'm saying, and that's the
Yeah.
whole argument, isn't it? How comic book movies are ruining cinema because of that. They don't give you the opportunity to do anything. Like they don't give you the opportunity to become emotionally invested. They don't have okay,
go ahead. Yeah, because I don't know. I think
this is what I want to know. I said it
involved
last week on the show. Okay, let's all screw emotion. Let's not talk about emotion for a second. All right. If you don't go to watch the movie, is there a movie?
No. Cinemas are at the. Cinema, right? You're
honestly,
talking about
if people didn't go to the movies, would they be making any movies?
Yes.
Okay, but then here, let me
still are
counter
right
that.
now, and there's not as many people going to the movies, but the ticket prices are jacking up higher and higher.
What was that, Brian? Go ahead.
The ticket prices are jacking up higher and higher, but that's inflation
you go
of everything.
somewhere and see it, it's is it cinematic? No, because that's the whole point of going to
the Lighthouse. Let's bring out the Lighthouse, which was a very awesome movie. I watched it.
You watched it?
I did. Very awesome movie. Very weird, estranged. You really, truly believe the characters were in that situation.
Yes.
Now, I'm not just a huge comic book movie fan. I appreciate good movies. I appreciate an awesome movie. There's a movie called All the King's Men, and it's with Sean Penn. It's a political movie. I hate politics, But that movie, when I watch it, gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
And I mean, if a movie can make me feel something, that's awesome. That's why I love watching movies. Like, it doesn't just have to be a comic book movie. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Marvel's doing something that no comic book franchise has ever done in the history of movies, and they brought it to the silver screen, and I'm going to give them their props. What I don't agree with is how it cannot be considered cinema all because it's in a different category. There's totally different categories of movies that are cinema. There's dark comedies. There's satires. There's just real movies and things like that. There's mob movies that are timeless. I can sit here and watch Goodfellas today, and enjoy it and take something from it. There's all kinds of things.
Then what really defines cinema? What is the definition?
What is the definition of
I'll
cinema?
tell you right now.
We went one by one. What is cinema?
Is a building that fucking features a film. And when they talk, like, everyone's using the wrong words and shit when they're arguing about this. Like, I believe there's two separate arguments right now, from what the celebrities are saying and then from what you guys are saying, and everyone's got it all fucked up.
Okay, Angela, why don't you straighten it out for us?
You say your point.
The definition of cinema is it's a building that features a film, aka a theater. Okay, when a movie, you don't say a movie is cinema, you say it's cinematic. And the whole point of going to a cinema is the reason why they turn off the lights. It's a big ass screen, and they got the fucking volume turned up to 10 or more. Alright, is to take you out of your own setting and put you in theirs. So, in order for a movie to be in a cinema, it has to be cinematic. Like, whether it's a very good storytelling movie, or, like others say, actions speak louder than words. And a very good example of that is The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Okay. If they're, depending on the setting they create with the music, the sound effects, the scene, that is what makes a movie cinematic. And do I think the Marvel whole entire franchise is cinematic? Yes. Do I think all comic book movies are? No, because like you said, DC fucking sucks ass.
All right,
but
except for
why
the
why don't you give your
Mel,
give your opinion next, and we'll just kind of go along the line of what you think cinema means. What do you say cinema means, Mo?
Oh, he called me by name. Thank you, Mark. So
keep it organized.
To make a movie cinematic, Angelo, does that make you happy? Does that make you happy?
I'm just saying, that's my argument. You can say
however
you want. That's my argument.
Number one, it has to appease to the audience. If you can, to me, the reason I love movies so much is movies are almost like therapy for me sometimes. It depends on my mood, my state of mind, like what I want to watch when it's something that I've already seen. What am I going to pop in to watch? Where am I at in my life? Or maybe I have questions or something like that. And I go and I watch a movie. There's another movie. I'll give you an example. It's not a JFK movie. It's the movie where they assassinate his brother. Now, this is a star-studded cast. I mean, you have like 28 mainstream actors in this movie. William H. Macy, Lawrence Fishburne, a lot of different actors, some that I can't say their names off the top of my head. But there's a scene. This scene has nothing to do with the entire movie. Nothing at all. The kitchen staff, they're all sitting down at the table and they're eating. And one of the guys who's Mexican, he speaks out and he talks some kind of shit. So the head chef says, well, then you can't have any of my peach cobbler. And he was like, fine, I don't want your fucking cobbler. He's like, that's okay. My cobbler is special. And he starts to speak to the friend that gets some cobbler. He goes, here, man, have some cobbler. And he gives him an example about how you should see life. He says, I got that peach cobbler from my mother. My mother used to make me peach cobbler. And she got it from her mother, my grandmother. Taught her how to teach peach cobbler. But the thing is, you can't do things the way your mother did or the way your grandmother did. You have to evolve and grow. See, my peach cobbler, it don't taste like my mom's, even though it has her recipe. I put a little bit of me in it. And what I do is that you gotta put a little of you, and stop laughing with your fucking messed up mind ass.
I'm thinking,
he's thinking it.
Got the pie.
He's thinking American Pie, and I'm being
Damn.
real. He's thinking American Pie, and I'm being real. But he basically explains to this person that if you don't put a little bit of yourself into whatever it is that you're doing, then it's not for anything. It's not for nothing. So I go to movies that speak to me, that speak to my mind, that's going to help me in my state of mind, in my fresh mind. Comic book movies do that for me. I watch a comic book movie, and it makes me feel like, like I'm a superhero. I can get up the next day with my hurt back that Angelo fucking mentioned and throw 796 cases because I feel like I'm Captain America today or whatnot. I feel like if you watch a movie and it speaks to you and it changes your emotions and it changes your state of mind or it helps you through whatever you're doing, that's real. All because it's not what you're doing doesn't make it not real. Because at the end, I mean, like, we're all the same, really.
The whole point is to bring you to that
green screen or not, whatever, green screen or not. In my opinion, it's harder to act out a movie that you have to act in front of a green screen. Because you got to see everything in your mind.
More talent.
It takes more to do something like that, in my opinion. So I just don't understand
because
how
not
these
only do you
three
have to
predominant
play the part,
directors
but that person has to play
can
that
sit there and say that they're ruining the. No, man, you got to appease to your audience. Okay, in the 70s and the 80s, there weren't a lot of fanboys out there going to the movies or whatnot.
Nope.
There wasn't. It was all about mob movies and this kind of movie, and they did the same thing in their time.
War movies.
When mob movies stopped working, then they started growing, making different movies, like especially Martin Scorsese. He has a lot of obscure movies, which is really cool. Because it shouldn't be one kind of thing. And that's also what makes Marvel movies to me special. Because they're all not the same kind of movies.
I just asked you to kind of define cinema.
I feel like you're going to tear up.
Nah, man, I'm going to make y'all tear up. That's what I do.
I'm just enjoying this.
Hold on. Angelo, calm down. Yeah. Now, Andrew hasn't gotten to say shit. So I want Andrew to talk. Because he's on here. He's a guest. He always has a pretty decent opinion. So, Andrew, please go ahead, man.
I don't know about decent.
So, cinema, Mr. Angelo, with your movie theater, it's got to be in a building shit. So you're trying to say that everybody in Hollywood and all these awards and everything for best cinema, they're actually talking about the building and not the movie?
I saw that movie at a great theater, bro.
All I gotta say is look up the definition of cinema.
Well, I'm just saying, are you going to correct everybody in Hollywood to take that award off and call it the best cinematic movie?
Listen, anyone can call it who it is, but I think they just had the arguments all fucked up. And I think they just hating because they ain't making that money.
I think you need to get some different weed, but I'm just saying.
What? You get some different weed.
You can never go wrong with a different strain.
So,
I'm just saying though, why say a word means something and then use it another way?
So what does cinema mean to you, Drew?
Cinema is just that. It's just cinema. You go to the movies to watch a movie. It's a cinema. So my question is to whoever said it wasn't that Marvel movies weren't cinema. They're up for best cinema, aren't they?
They are.
So
I think it should be AMC.
They're not going to win,
Independence,
though. But they are.
I think
even if they're not going to win, you've got to be you still got to be cinema to be nominated for best cinema, right?
Absolutely.
You have to be a cinema.
All right, so that just killed that next subject.
Everyone's going aside.
No, that just killed that next subject. We done.
No, honestly, the whole thing, I think that they're trying to make that argument is because of how much money these Marvel movies are banking.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I think they just hating.
Hold on, let me finish.
They're just riding their dick, bro.
But can I finish though?
Yes,
sir.
Can I finish?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and finish.
All right, I'm done.
I knew he was gonna do it. I hate you.
Yo, you gotta protect
All
your
right,
mental.
Tony, how do you feel about
Go
what's
ahead,
your
Tony.
definition of cinema?
Well, I mean, I know people think of cinema as an experience of going to the movies and seeing, but to me, is
he's just laying Easter eggs all day. I'm sorry,
Angelo.
I'm sorry. Andrew's laying Easter eggs all night with his feet, and it's great. I'm sorry. Go
on. So pretty much when I go see a movie, I want to be able to care about the characters. I want to be able to be to get a good story. One of the best movies, and I'm thinking, do people consider these movies cinema? To me, Back to the Future, all three of those movies are the best movies, in my opinion, like the best movies ever made. Those are my favorite movies of all time.
Well, damn.
Yeah, they
even
are.
Part
I love
3?
Back to the Future. Even as shitty as Part 3 can be, but Part 3's got his moments. But listen, Part 1 and 2, are those movies cinemas? Those are characters people will remember forever and ever.
Forever.
Just like E.T.
Forever.
And
Even before the stutter.
Just
forever.
like and you know, those are movies that I'm like, damn, the Goonies. You get involved with each and every one of those characters, and that's to me, that's what cinema is.
I never vibe with the little Chinese boy.
I sure did. Data's a gangster. He had all the inventions. He saved their asses like 3 times.
His movie was Temple of Doom. He was just a know-it-all.
Who?
Temple of Doom. I'm just fucking with you, Tony. Keep going. I'm just messing with you.
No, but to me, cinema is movies that are made like Avatar. You know, it's a damn big tall blue character running through a jungle that made a planet, but
which
you
was
love
also
those characters and you care
you also
about
gotta
those
remember what
let him say his thing,
pixels
Angelo. Chill out.
and colors were coming out with screens though. That was that whole movie though, the colors.
But just think about the characters and the story behind that movie.
Yeah, the characters were definitely you fall in love with them.
Would Martin Scorsese or anybody else in Hollywood say that those movies are not cinema? It's crazy.
Because they would never speak up against James Cameron, bro. James Cameron has him killed. That's the real mobster.
Well, the same thing with Steven Spielberg or George Lucas. Those guys have made movies that you would say, damn, are those, Star Wars. Star Wars, to me, Star Wars is cinema. People may disagree, but yes, it is, especially the original trilogy. Absolutely.
Best trilogy ever made.
With comic book movies, yes, the original Batman movies except for the Michael Keaton movies, the Tim Burton Batmans were good.
They're
ones, the Joel Schumacher. What do you think? They're all right? Are you serious?
They're all right. They're definitely better than Joel Schumacher. No argument here.
That's what I'm just okay. That's fine.
No argument.
The Christopher Nolan Batmans were more of a making
better.
You feel like. Let's be honest though. That was more realistic. There was not a lot of magic shit going on there.
Well, magic shit were going on in the first. You know what? That's an argument for another day. My bad. All right, so wrap it up so that Pixel Me Cleary can speak on.
Yes, but to me, cinema is just the experience, the love of the characters and the story, and that's what Marvel. To me, Marvel, I think they covered that. I think they did. I think everybody loves their characters. Iron Man, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, all those guys. So
nice. All right, Pixel Me Clear.
Ooh.
All right. So I feel like there's so many different arguments happening right now, or discussions, and let's call them discussions.
Let's blame Angelo. Blame Angelo.
Fuck it.
Ooh, Brian left.
There's so much going on right now. I feel like firstly, cinema. If we're defining it, it's different than what I was talking about before, because like you could say that even something that was made on Netflix, that was made by Netflix, that was never in a theater, did more for the category than movies that have been in a theater and have like made audiences want to throw up and run out of the theater screaming.
Did you not watch El Camino?
Is she talking about Bird Box? She talking about
El
Bird
Camino
Box,
was amazing.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Cats, which is like making people like want to die.
Taylor Swift. Why would this be your first movie?
Yeah, everybody's got camel toes in that movie.
But like you can call that a movie, but you also then need to make sure that you're including other pieces of movie making or entertainment that is not just seen in a movie theater. So I do have an issue with someone saying that it's not cinema if it's not shown in a movie theater. I think that's limiting it quite a bit.
No, I'm saying cinematic. Angelo. They can be cinematic. Movies can be cinematic in your home.
There's movies that haven't gone to theaters that are still good.
Mm-hmm.
She's not
saying. There's a difference between cinema and cinematic.
That intro was cinematic, and it was no movie theater.
Oh fuck yeah, bro!
Yeah, it was. It was pretty cool. Things will be clear. If you didn't see it, you should watch it. You're on there.
I did. I watched it. I was watching it.
Nice.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome. Mark, you have a future.
But so, okay, to kind of bring it back for a second, because I feel like I had a totally different idea in my mind of what this conversation was going to be. And I thought it was going to be about like discussing what superhero movies could potentially be cinematic or cinema, however we're defining it. Let's,
that's simple.
I got her thinking. She's the one that's
simple.
It.
No, she just don't want you to go over the top on her and tell her, we're just appeasing you, sir.
Wow, just appeasing me. Like, I'm that fucking intimidating.
All right.
He just doesn't understand.
All right, let her finish. God. Shut up.
Yeah.
Mark struck again.
So, interestingly, when I think about what superhero movies really went above and beyond, and I think will be remembered for a very, very long time per movie. I'm talking about like one movie, not Marvel the studios, because yes, Marvel the studios will be remembered for a long time, but I'm not sure every Marvel movie would be. So that's a different statement. So okay. So
true, yeah.
I'm looking down at my list here of of everything that I would consider really great superhero movies, and there's really just a couple that make it, in my mind, to real cinema where you're like, oh damn, that movie went so far into what a superhero movie could mean, and they not only got you hooked with the acting, the characters, the effects, the story, but they were able to make it just be a real be real. They were able to make it real. They made you feel like you were there. They made you feel something, Mo. Like, they were real. And that's what real movie making can do. It can really it evokes real feelings in people. And so, like, and I know I'm gonna be stomped on as soon as I say this, but
oh no, what are you gonna say?
My top 3 of what I would consider like real movies that would be almost like, yeah, you might be able to put this in the Criterion Collection in like 20 or 30 years. I'm gonna say them, and then we'll continue talking about it. I think one of them is The Dark Knight. Like, that just by itself, just by itself. Like, let's not even think about the trilogy or Christopher.
Backstory, yeah.
There's The Dark Knight, just amazing on every level. Then we have, in my opinion, Logan also does something really amazing for superhero movies. and goes above and beyond.
There's a lot of emotion. A lot of emotion in that movie.
You're 2 for 2. You're 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
And then
lastly,
yeah, and then lastly, I've got Birdman.
Ah, nice.
It's what it does. It turns superhero movies on its head and makes it like something that evokes real thought with its audience, and it makes you. Like I had to continue talking about that movie for hours after it was over because I had so much going on. Like I had so much going on that I was thinking about, and that's what I think real cinema does. Like you can't compare some of the other movies you guys were discussing with those three and say they're on the same level.
Joker, you can.
I haven't seen Joker yet. I have not seen Joker yet.
You should see that.
I have not seen it yet, so I can't speak to it.
Don't watch previous episodes. Just go and see that movie.
You need to see that movie.
That was actually a pretty cool top 3. Very cool top 3.
Interesting. Very interesting.
If you watch Joker, don't pay for it.
I love all those movies. I named my son after Wolverine.
I kind of want to know what Tony's reaction was on the first 2, though. Well,
he was excited.
Well, because I thought she was going to say something else, and I was like, oh, The Dark Knight, yeah, Criterion, okay. Because I see what you're saying, though, because you're saying Criterion, and I'm like, damn. Because I own some Criterion movies, and even aside from Wes Anderson, but, you know, Criterion movies they're all, that is really cinema. They are really all cinema movies. I mean, they really are. And,
what are you insinuating?
I was gonna say like now I'm like thinking like, damn, would I?
Are you on the other side of the argument now?
No, hold on. One of my favorite Marvel movies, and I've said it 100 million times, is Captain America: Winter Soldier, best one yet. And I don't
Civil
see
War
that
was
movie
good
ever
too.
being that's not gonna be a Criterion. I don't ever see that shit being a. But that's not fair. But that's not fair.
It's fair in a way because it's one of the most amazing superhero movies. It's so great on so many levels, but it's not.
The Dark Knight and Logan, absolutely.
Right, but it's not on that level. It's not on like a Criterion Collection level.
So, like, you guys don't think Endgame might be in the Criterion Collection level?
You know, I mean, you know what? With Endgame, I wouldn't be surprised, because
the highest gross movie ever to have donned the silver string.
I just wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I don't think they will. But I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it'll happen. But you know what movie? Okay, for example. One of my favorite directors is Richard Linklater, and he has done movies like Boyhood and Before Sunrise, Before Midnight. Those movies are cool. And, you know, when you think of movies like that, and it's like, man, I don't know, man. Endgame will not be a Criterion. I don't see it, bro. I don't see it.
I understand.
Dark Knight and Logan? You know what? But you haven't seen Joker yet, so when you see Joker, I guarantee you're gonna.
You can even take the comic book aspect out of Joker.
Yeah, forget about that. Throw it out the window.
That's how good that movie is.
Yeah,
just don't pay to see it.
Without spoiling it for you, it's basically a movie based on how far you can push a man with mental illness.
Yep, that is what I heard.
That shit's everywhere.
No, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to say anything.
It's really good.
You have to see it.
Yeah,
Fire
you can watch it for free.
It's on DVD right now and Blu-ray.
Oh no, I could totally watch it. Like I debated watching it before coming on the show, and I just didn't. I didn't have time today, but I thought about it.
If you want to waste an hour and a half of your life, go ahead.
Oh, he doesn't like the Joker.
Get out of here.
He doesn't like it. Yeah, Andrew doesn't like the Joker.
Okay,
I thought the last half hour was good. The first hour and a half, I could have been in the restroom or something.
I can understand. I totally understand what he's. No, but I get what he's saying because it's the same thing I've had.
Oh, you get what
people,
he's saying. The first hour and a half is
I
trash.
think Andrew's
Joker.
like a
no,
straight to the
you
point
know
type
why?
guy.
You know
That's
why?
what he just said.
You know why? Because some people expect that violent, that history. That's why you said take the comic book out of it and just go in there and just watch it for what it is, and it's not. And even Todd Phillips, who directed it, said that this is not a comic book. A comic book like movie. This is more of just a story about a guy who becomes Joker, and he even I think he even said that it's not even affiliated with Batman too much, anyways. Like you don't
Look,
hear about
I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm just saying if you got homework and stuff you need to do, just bring it with you before you go watch the movie.
Well, damn. Damn, son. That was borderline offensive.
Just like
no,
fuck it,
bro.
prison shanked your ass.
Listen, I have a friend that has had this argument after the movie that we watched it. I'm like, yo, that shit was dope. He was like, yo, that shit was whack. I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean you were sitting right next
That was
to me? We
like,
saw the
let's
same
like,
movie.
I'll give you an example. Tony and I have a mutual friend who went to the theater to watch Quentin Tarantino's latest called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. That movie's fucking awesome.
Pixel Me Clear, have you seen that movie?
I actually watched it after you mentioned it.
Okay, what did you think of it?
Oh, this is a different conversation now. Okay, so all right, so I did think it was good. I don't think it was as good as other movies that he has done.
Like what movie?
Well, it was different. It was a different type of movie.
No, I agree. I agree.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Stop agreeing. Like which movie? I want to know which movie. Which movie did Tarantino do that was better than that one?
Pulp Fiction.
I mean, yes, Pulp
classic.
Fiction was amazing,
classic.
but I'm more thinking of like Inglourious Bastards. That's one of his best movies.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Now, I didn't say on the show that I thought it was Tarantino's best movie, did I?
No,
you did not.
You did.
Okay,
No,
I said that the dialogue alone in that movie, the execution by the actors, all of them across the board.
Yeah, it was
the dialogue was just worth it. Just the dialogue. That's it.
One of the
just
best dialogue films to ever watch. Like, it's probably going to be quotable for a long time.
Tarantino movies, as he has grown, have the best dialogue. Like, you can mention Reservoir Dogs. That's a good dialogue.
He nails dialogue there. Yeah.
I mean, The Hateful Eight. Freaking just the dialogue alone. And then you got to remember it's Tarantino. So there's going to be some over-the-top violence involved. That's just Tarantino. That's him. You know, it is what it is.
I think some people didn't think it was that good because it didn't have enough.
A lot of people shitted on him because he shitted on Bruce Lee. A lot of people shitted on him just for that.
Some people said it wasn't violent enough. That's why it wasn't good enough.
Oh, I thought it was great.
I thought it was awesome, man. Yeah, it was fun.
Great movie. But okay, those were acceptable answers. Those were acceptable. Very good. I was going to ask after Harley what he thought the definition of cinema was, but he's no longer with us. So I guess the last person, if you care to mention it, because I mean you are the director, would you like to say what you feel like cinema is, Mark? You let us do a lot of talking.
Well, I think it really depends on the person. And that's kind of a little bit of a different thing. But the other argument about why it could be hurting cinema is pretty valid. And the reason it's valid is if these films that are highly backed by other media and other material and lots of money and everything like that, who's going to watch those other films that are actually really great? no one's ever gonna go watch them. Those kids are not gonna watch those films. They might watch some cartoon movies. They might watch some superhero movies, but those real legit films are gonna get like washed away, and they're not gonna be given a chance.
Yeah, but if they are like that great of a movie,
not
people
true.
will speak about them.
They've movies
and
that
it's also up to them
in the
as
movie
an entity
theaters
to,
and then ended up
produce
winning
their own fucking
awards
shit. Like,
at the end later on. But is that going to make a kid or anything like that go watch a movie? No. So if those movies are making so much money, they could put more money into advertisement and everything like that and overwash all these low budget films. And nobody really is going to watch low budget films anymore.
yeah, but if they're good, people are gonna watch them. People are gonna talk about them.
There's good movies we watched, Angelo, you never watched, so that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
Okay, but until you guys say something about it, I'm not gonna know about it. Like,
but I don't think that's
not only
I don't think that
but
should
Kevin
be put
Smith,
on.
Kevin Smith destroys that theory.
He did, not anymore. He did though.
But my point is though, like low budget or not,
you
if
can't
it's good,
listen.
people are gonna talk
I'm a
about
big
it.
Kevin Smith fan too. Okay, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I went to New Jersey. I was on the other side of the state, and I told my wife, I said, if we're in New Jersey, we're going to Jay and Silent Bob's Silent Stash or Secret Stash. There's no way I'm going to go to New Jersey and not stop in that store. No way.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I went in that store, spent $200 on shit, and freaking, I didn't even get to meet him. But I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. Clerks did a lot for me. Mallrats is a guilty pleasure of mine. But you cannot consider what Kevin Smith does now to how he started. And then, like, a lot of people didn't even know this about Kevin Smith. Did you know that he wrote and directed the movie Red State?
Which one?
Really?
Red State. It is not Kevin Smith style. It is a very serious movie. It's a scary movie, and it's a good movie. Great movie. So Kevin Smith has a lot more depth than Mallrats, than Clerks, but he doesn't do anything with it. He doesn't do it. The only movie he ever wrote and directed that was like a serious movie or something out of his comfort zone was Red State. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to do it in the future. He might. But at this point, right now, you can't make that argument about Kevin Smith.
I'm saying, okay, destroyed. Sorry, not destroys, but destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed. Now, you're also mentioning Kevin Smith, early 90s, late 80s. We're in 2019 now. So the argument is that the comic book movies are ruining the industry now. Now, what I don't think is that you shouldn't put it on comic book movies, because if these kids and all these people that you just mentioned weren't going to watch the comic book movies, weren't going to watch the cartoon movies, they're also not going to watch the real movies. Because I feel like you can blame society for that. You could just blame that kind of stuff. It's the way kids are now. Now, like, my kids, Tony's kids, they're going to appreciate movies. For sure. Nostalgic movies, old movies, good movies.
My kid doesn't do nothing that I ask him
to do. Then he can go get a job and move out. He's not going to enjoy movies with me. How about that, Mark? That's how I feel about it.
Listen,
go get your ass a job. Get the fuck out.
Listen,
He's just not going to watch
man,
movies.
For real. I
got
my
movies, but
how'd you get fired on your day off?
I got my daughter into all the good classic good movies, and
my kid loves Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Batman the
Gargoyles
Animated
is
Series.
amazing.
Yes, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Batman
So,
the
like,
Animated
my kids
Series.
are gonna know about it.
Yeah, it's the greatest
Can't say that
series
about
ever.
everybody's kids.
It's the greatest animated series ever.
Plus, somebody made
It's
a point
amazing.
earlier: the ticket prices. You know, like I'm an unlimited fan with Regal, so I pay $22 a month. I can go to a movie.
Tuesdays.
I can go to. I don't have to pay $5 on Tuesday. I just walk in. I pay $22 a month. I can watch as many movies as I want, go as many times as I want, and whatnot. So I'm a real fan. I went out last night with some work friends, and one of them suggested we go to a place called CineBistro. Now, CineBistro is not in my area. I had to drive an hour and 10 minutes to go watch this movie. And it cost $20 a ticket, which is by far the most I've ever paid for a movie ticket. But the movie experience, it was really cool. I got to eat a lobster roll. My friend had a Wagyu steak. My wife had the creamiest mac and cheese. She told me what she fucking ordered, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna pay $20 for some mac and cheese. Are you fucking serious? And then she let me have a piece, and I was like, that's some good mac and cheese. That's pretty good. That's worth $20. You know what I mean? So the cups that they gave us were glass cups. We sat on lazy boy chair on a curved screen. It was great. I was in the second row, closest to the screen, and I left the theater without my neck hurting, which is awesome.
That's the best.
You know, I got to watch a movie on opening night. You know what I mean? So not everybody has the means to do that, or to do those things, or even to go to just Regal and pay $10 for a ticket, or $5 for a ticket, things like that. It's so expensive to live, no matter where you are, and not, you know what I mean? There's a 10% that can do those things, or they choose to do those things, and then the other 30% that go and do it, they just do it because that's what they enjoy, so they put that into their hobby or whatnot. I chose the cheapest route to go watch movies. $20 a month, watch as many fucking movies as I want. So you can blame society for that, Mark. I don't think that's on the comic book movies.
Hey,
in my opinion, I mean,
I support.
I don't know shit.
I support cinema. That's
cinema.
Me. I still believe in physical media. Although I do stream, but I believe in physical media.
Physical media. Yeah, Tony's like the only guy I know that collects 4K Blu-rays.
And regular.
All right. Yeah. So, was there anything else that anybody had to say on the subject? Because we are approaching the 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is 9:30 Jello time, which is 7:30 Pixel Me Cleary time. So it's getting kind of late. Some of us got to work in the morning. Anybody have anything to say?
Joker sucks.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Who invited you? I love that you're here, though, Andrew. I was just playing.
No, man, it was good, man.
Joker's great. Don't listen to Andrew.
Yeah.
I will decide for myself.
You let us know what you thought of the movie.
You gotta go watch it.
It's definitely Criterion. It's Criterion.
Criterion worth there. Mm-hmm.
Logan could have been better.
You're talking to the biggest Heath Ledger Joker fan too.
I'm saying.
Don't talk it up. Just tell her it sucks, so she has low expectations.
You're right. It's a shit ass movie.
It's boring the first hour and a half, like Andrew said.
You're gonna tear your eyes out.
It's no Mission Impossible Fallout, bro.
Oh no! Why do you always gotta bring that up? Mission Impossible Fallout.
Mission Impossible Fallout is the greatest 2018 movie.
I hate you.
You're gonna talk it down. She's gonna go watch the movie and be like, "Damn, they were right."
I love it.
Yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout, Criterion.
So, since I can't get censored on this one, you need to really bring The Purge up.
The Purge? We can bring it up.
Oh, man.
We can bring it up. We can talk to The Purge. Look, there's only one way.
I don't even think Pixel knows what we're talking about.
Look, she knows. She's been on the show. She's watched the show. This is how you watch a Purge movie. You go ahead and you get the DVD box and you just. That's how you watch it. Brought up. We brought it up. We let them know how it goes. Straight garbage, straight trash. Fuck that shit. So anyhow, thank you so much, Hawk fans. We appreciate y'all coming out and watching and engaging with us. A special thank you to Pixel Me Cleary for coming on the show to speak her mind. Thank you so much, Pixel Me Cleary. Special thanks to Mark working on the new layout. Let us know what you think of the layout. The new intro is pretty cool. Tony Blu-ray came out of hiding 2 weeks in a row. We got him hyped. We got him ready. He was asking me in the middle of the week, hey, let's do another show right now. I was like, wait, whoa. Slow down. Slow down, son. So special thank you to all of you. If you haven't done it already, please hit the follow, the subscription, the notification bell. Let us know what you want to talk about. Hit us up with a comment or private message us. We would love to just bring it up and talk about it and just jive with you. Anybody else want to say goodbye to the Hots?
Yo, I just want to say thank you, Pixel, for coming out. You haven't watched her stream, go watch her stream. She does some really cool stuff besides playing video games. She does some really cool and interesting makeup and art. It's really awesome. Check it out. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for coming in and hang out. Thank you, Pixel, for coming on. Thank you, Andrew, for coming in and hanging out and talking crap and everything like that. I appreciate you, buddy. And Tony Blu-ray, we knew where Tony was today because he was here. It wasn't like, where in the world is Tony? We knew where he was.
San Diego.
And of course, Angelo. We always appreciate you, buddy. All the way from Chi-Town. Mo.
Angelo CinaMeh.
I thanks, Mo, for wearing the hat that matched with your picture. I don't know if it inspired you to wear the hat, but
the SA gear, no?
I figured new layout, new intro, new look.
Yeah, man.
I went with it. Why not?
All right, thank you
I
guys
like to
for
roll
coming
with the
out.
punches.
Appreciate you. Love you guys.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, everybody.
Hell yeah.
Later.